Hi guys, it's Suga and welcome back to another installment of the May Perfect Murders, and today we'll be reviewing The Red House Mystery by A.A. Milne. If the author sounds familiar, it's because he's the author of the Winnie the Pooh series, which make him more famous, but before he created the Winnie the Pooh, he wrote a series of novels, poetries, and one of them was this mystery novel. As always, this discussion will have two parts: the spoiler-free part of the book and the spoiler section where I discuss the murder. The Red House Mystery, and before we talk, look at this edition. This is like an A3, like it's huge. It's a huge book, but the story itself, it's about the owner of the Red House, Mark Ablett, who in the beginning of the book discovers that his younger brother, who is in Australia, comes to visit him like the next day. A very like whoa situation, why he decided to go so fast. Like he arrived today and he's gonna see me tomorrow. Like, and from the beginning we have the retelling of, I think it's one of the housemates that's telling that his brother arrived, and then she is going search for the owner, who is Mark, and then when she arrives at the house again, there was a murder. Robert, who is Mark's brother, is found dead on the house, and Mark has run away. The detective believe on that story and they start to questioning, but in that house there were some guests, and one of the guests had one friend that was in town, and his name is Anthony. He has a lot of different jobs. He's a very free will person, but he has one characteristic that helped him a lot, which is a photographic memory, which help him to recollect all data that he needs. And when he arrives at the house, he arrives in the moment that Kayleigh, which is Mark's cousin and right arm of Mark, is trying to force the entry on the library because he heard the shot and the library is closed. So they both go around the house, enter through the window, and saw someone is dead, and they see that it's Robert that is dead, and Mark must run away. And during the novel is basically Anthony trying to discover the truth, because the police officers believe that it's simply Mark killed his brother for some reason. And for some reason, and some of his imaginations, Anthony doesn't believe that. And that's how we start the Red House Mystery. The book it's one of the best that I've read on this month. It plays with the trope of the Sherlock Holmes. It's a funny story, even on the book, that Anthony says to Bill, or Bill says to Anthony, "You are almost like Sherlock Holmes, so you will be my Watson," and they play like that, and even the interactions are very much resemble of a Sherlock Holmes Watson relationship, of Poirot Hastings. You have someone who is brilliant and who's trying to discover the secrets and not shows to everyone what he knows, and you have someone who's like having some ideas, and then when they talk, and when Sherlock Holmes or Poirot says like, "But what about this?" they start, "Oh yeah, you're right, that doesn't make sense. That's something that's not add up to the equation, so it must be something else," and they start to unveil the secret. I think the writing style is very good. In the beginning, I found I wasn't not like very in the mood, but then I started listening to the audiobook again with the book, and it was very flow. Although the audiobook, I don't know, it was censored. I found an audiobook that is censored, like, "Oh my god" doesn't appear, and they changed some phrases. I was like, okay, but I can deal with that. It's very resemblant to Agatha Christie's Poirot, to a Sherlock Holmes novel, so it's a very fast and very entertaining because we're following a detective and we follow someone who knows that something is wrong. I think it doesn't come to twist who did it. I think it comes to a twist how he did it and why he did it. Those are the two main twists. Because on, like, not even in the middle, we already know who to be aware of, because Anthony told us. They told us who we must be aware of their actions. The point here is not who did it, it's how he did it, why he did it, and what really happened on that room. I found very entertaining the Anthony-Bill's relationship, because it's very, like I said, it resembles very much Poirot and Hastings, Holmes and Watson relationships, and I really enjoyed it. It was entertaining to following them, although Hastings sometimes is a little, I liked it a little bit more Bill than Hastings, because Bill is more willing to do what Anthony did, and he's more like cheerful. It's more happy, so it's a funny character that also sometimes break a little bit the mood of the book, and I really enjoy that. Yeah, overall, it's a very good novel. It's a very entertaining one. It's a very captivating. It's the English setting of a small country house. In this case, it's not small; it's a big country house. But you have the country house, a lot of like that nucleus of characters, very typical of a Poirot novel, and I really enjoy that. And I think not discovering who, but discovering the why is sometimes more interesting than discovering the who did it, because sometimes it's too obvious who did it, but sometimes it's not too obvious why and how he did it. And in this one, it was really good, really good. Yeah, I totally recommend this book. And let's move on to The Murder. The Murder in Red House Mystery, I think, is one that you cannot pull except in the right circumstances. Why? The person who died, if you saw the review from the beginning, I said it was Robert, but it's not. It was Mark. Who killed it was Kaylee. Kaylee did it because he was jealous of Mark's attention to a young girl, because he felt like he didn't deserve to marry her, so he was tired of him and decided to kill him. The situation here is a confusion about the identities, and it comes the reason why. In the beginning, in the novel, we learn that one of the guests, I think her name is Miss Norris, she's an actress, and there is a legend about the Red House Mystery being hunted by a ghost, so she decides to prank Mark of her being a ghost. There's a secret passage on the house that connects to a other side of the house, very far, and Kaylee knew before Mark knew, and he teach Mr. Norris to use it so she can scare him. Thinking or not, this was all Kaylee's plan, that he revealed in the end in a letter. Very resemble of and then there were none, how the murder revealed everything. By using this, he created a situation that leave Mark very uncomfortable, like, she's never coming back to the Red House, let's make sure of that. And Mark really loved to do theater. There was like a play on the city that he played, and Kaylee took the opportunity and said, well, why don't you prank her, why not pull like a trick with your brother that we know it's in Australia. What they didn't know was, or what the guests didn't know was, the brother was long dead, that he died a couple of years ago. So there was no brother actually. It was all made up, so Cale could prank a little bit, because he could since he was a bad person, as a brother, he could ask money to Miss Norris and never return, a type of prank basically. And that is how Kaylee start his action. Remember, this is setting beginning of the 19th or to 20th century, so there is no DNA, there is no way to identify persons unless for face. And from all the persons, the person they saw was Robert, because Mark changed his appearance. He shaved, he dressed a little bit differently, so he talked a little bit different. So the only person who saw him besides Kaylee was a housemaid and a gardener, and they were like, yeah, it's the same guy, it's not Mark, because they have a real idea who Mark was, and that guy was not similar to Mark. So when Cale killed Mark, they all think it was Robert, and Mark ran away. The thing here with this murder is not how do you get caught. Nowadays it will be harder, of course, because you have DNA, unless you were twins, and if you were true twins, it's harder to identify by DNA. But still, you can be different in some way, a tattoo or something. There are ways. But here, he tried to plot everything carefully so he could kill Mark, that in that time was being Robert, and incriminate Mark that was dead, so they could never find it. The one mistake that he did was, first, when Mark changed on the library to Robert's clothes and left all the clothes, like his suit, he forgot the collar and he forgot on the basket, but everything on the clothes was already on Kaylee's hand. That was the first evidence that he left that Anthony saw. The second one was when Kaylee found Robert dead. He played very well that, thank goodness it was not Mark, it was Robert. I'm gonna get some water, because he remembered that he forgot to leave a window open. He could not use the big windows of the library because everyone would see him, but he had to go to a room that is between the library and the office, and it's like a passage, and they have like a room that Mark used to change and to put some clothes, not to go upstairs, rich people. And he left and he went to open the window, closing the door very slowly so Anthony could not listen. But Anthony saw something. He saw a shadow moving, and he thought about the door being open or closed, but it was not. It was the window that made the reflection, and the door. That was explained. Here, the strong points for Kaylee was person who saw Mark as Robert. Confirm. He could confirm that was Robert, because it was not Mark, because he knew him. Even when the investigation starts, because they have like a pond, they start saying, oh, let's look at the pond. Yes, you should definitely look at the pond. That's another thing that caught Anthony suspicious, because of course he wants to drag the pond. There's nothing there. There's going to be after they see the pond. If you have a pond, if you commit a murder, you're not going to put it there, because that's one of the first points police will look for. But after the police drown the pond and see there is nothing, and there's again water, well, you can put everything there again, because who is going to search a second time? Nobody. So that's the safe point that he wanted to do, and what he wanted was to put Mark's clothes. The theory here with Anthony was that Anthony connect Kaylee to the murder, thinking he was accomplice, and not till the end that he was murdering Mark. Now, in the 8 Perfect Murders, this is big spoiler, okay? Be aware of that. It's the last crime that is committed on the book. The killer who contacts, I don't recall his name, Malcolm, I think, who contacts the main character, and they arrive at the house, so he wants to kill, I think it's a wife and her lover, so it can look like a lover killed the wife and he ran away. To do this, to have someone incriminate another, you have to kill 2 persons, because unless one died and no one knows, which doesn't happen anymore, or you kill 2 persons. You have to kill first the person who is running away, but you cannot disclose the body. Has to be hidden, has to be something in a way that is not found, and then kill the person who is going to be found and make the other person guilty. Now, why should you do that? Maybe if you are a jealous husband and found your wife was cheating, you can kill both and blame the cheater and the lover. Otherwise, it's a very complicated murder to plot, because you need a lot of circumstances. If the death trap was a heart condition or a health condition, that is more probable than this one. This one is the hardest one to do. Why should you kill 2 persons just to incriminate one, and then you have to keep one hidden in a way that no one is found, or it look like suicide? So then after the first body is found and then the other is found like a week later, it looked like, oh, he killed himself. But even though you have to see that you can see the time of the death. So, or you kill after, but right after, okay, or you kill before. And that's about the circumstances. How do you make... Okay, you can use the phone of that lover to call the wife, for example, because it's how it happened in the book. Or you can find them both together and like a killing suicide pact. Like you kill the wife and then make the guy look like a suicide, so it was like a murder suicide thing, I think this one is the hardest. In terms of evidence, you have the evidence of a normal murder, DNA, blood, a cell phone, everything. But in terms of alibis, it's good because you have someone who has a motive. Imagine that you are the husband or the wife, and you find the other party is cheating on you, and you say, I found out, I talked with him, her, and the disclosure, everything was going fine. She went up to break with him or her, and I never thought about that, and things were bad. I went with her, I was at work. But then you have to have alibis, which is hard because you are killing. You see, it's not an easy one. It's definitely not the easiest one. I think in lines of investigation can be the best because you have someone who is missing, and if it's missing, it's suspicious. But besides that, it's one of the hardest because it involves a lot of correct timing, double murder, and a lot of planning and circumstances that are not easy to happen. Here they have that brother. You can use that, for example, if you want to kill your cousin like he did, and you make like the one you want to kill passes to his brother, but how it's going to be a situation, unless he doesn't know. For example, imagine that you are his secretary, and you receive a letter that her brother or his brother is dead. You can use that in your advantage because he doesn't know the brother is dead. So you can make a fake letter. The problem here is unless they are twins, because you have to kill. Even then, if you hire an actor who disguises herself very differently, like the brother, that could work. Imagine, that's in my mind going up. Imagine you hire an actor who face up and do a lot of costume like the brother. They go, you kill the one that you want, the actor goes away, run, changes all. You have to deal with alibis. Maybe it could work, but then the actor would have a difficult life, unless he's someone who can deal with that. Unless, for example, you go say that his brother arrived and then goes to the library, doesn't found, but then you have to have someone corroborating with you that saw someone. You see, that is a problem. It's creating that third party that or ran away or is killed, so we can put. This is not definitely. It's the idea. It's good, but plotting and pulling through, it's one of the hardest. I don't think this one convinced me. The book is very good, but as a performer to execute, I've seen better this month and easier ones. This one is very complicated. A lot of timing, a lot of planning, and a lot of circumstances that sometimes doesn't happen, so you cannot pull through. Yeah, so guys, this was my review for The Red House Mystery by A.A. Milne. Tell me in the comments if you read this book, if you like the Winnie the Pooh, if not, if you interested on this murder, what are your thoughts, how you can pull through. I would love to hear your ideas. And yeah, I post videos every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturday, so I see you guys in my next video. Bye.